Mega Man 9 runners, but if we know what we know from at least from Hyper's last race against Polytopes, he can actually still prone to be making mistakes. So if MrCab can play his game and FLALORM can have the mistakes that he had in his final game before the bracket stage, we could be in for an interesting match. But anyway, we started with Concrete Man stage. This is the general first round. Concrete Man's weapon is one of the best weapons in Mega Man 9, and that's saying a lot considering Mega Man 9 has a plethora of good and strong weapons, one of the best weapon sets in the Mega Man series. So Hyper is just taking out all these mini elephant mid-bosses, good matching on FLALORM's end. MrCab is following. As you can see, we got 3 of them in tow. 2 red balls, 1 green ball. The last red ball has some pits that can make things a little tough for these guys, but MrCab also decimates them very quick. So again, Concrete Man stage, one of the stages that really doesn't need any power-ups to get through the stage fast, and the concrete shot is one of the best weapons, as I mentioned before, so Concrete Man first just makes a whole lot of sense. So we got Hyper, first one going to Concrete Door. Concrete Man is surprisingly an interesting fight for being one of our quote big men of the Mega Man series. He's surprisingly fast. He jumps really high and has a tremor attack that can stun him. We do not want to see that. He can hang in the air for a very long time. We want to see him on the ground as much as possible. So as you can see, he's trying to get all the concrete shots clustered up in one gigantic group like MrCab's doing right now. He's still firing 3 shots, but since he's so close, all 3 shots pretty much just look like one big concrete shot. MrCab's coming up on the kills. So good job on MrCab, but Hyper does have a slight lead, taking out. Well, again, we also got to deal with a little bit of stream delay, but Hyper still probably would still have a little bit of a lead, taking out Concrete Man first. So Magma Man. So this is one of the more interesting things about Mega Man 9. We really don't go weakness order. As far as the boss routing goes, it pretty much depends on utility and how much you get from utilities from previous bosses before entering said stage. Concrete Shot just makes Magma Man stage very, very doable. Well, of course, you can do it with Buster, but Concrete Shot just makes it even faster. As you can see, Hyper tried to skip one of the magma jets, and this is what I was talking about. If Hyper continues to make mistakes of this scale, MrCab, if he plays his game as he waits for that jet, he can MrCab has a shot to take out one of the stronger Mega Man 9 runners. And now, as a consequence of dying, Hyper's going to be low on concrete shots, so he's going to be possibly waiting for these magma jets to go through now, and that's extra time loss. Got like those little particle effects from getting close to the magma jets. Anyway, MrCab taking out the Chanky Makers very skillfully. He's on his way towards the final portions of Magma Man stage, where he got this long stretch of magma jets. Hyper quickly taking down the Chanky Makers with well-timed mashed concrete shots. MrCab taking wise caution, don't want to make any kind of silly mistakes as he makes his way towards Magma Man. So he's the first in Magma Door. So Magma Man, we do not have his weakness, so we're gonna have to be very judicious on our Buster shots. Fortunately, thanks to the low iframes, he's gonna be a surprisingly quick fight. Of course, we could go out of the way to get Tornado Blow to make this fight slightly faster, but we're saving Tornado Man for later on for pretty good reason. MrCab making handiwork of Magma Man. Hyper coming in closely, starting his, well, halfway done with his magma fight. So you can see well-timed shots while Magma Man doing some short one platform or slightly larger two platform jumps, just recognizing his pattern, just attacking completely until his opponent just dead. Alright, so this is where things could be a little bit split. MrCab is going to Hornet Man stage, however, you also do have the option to, yep, as I thought, going to Galaxy Man. So you actually do have the weaknesses for both Hornet and Galaxy. I'm seeing most upper tier runners go for Galaxy Man first, but it's really doesn't matter all that much. The only major difference is, from what I've been gathering watching these races and helping out with commentary, is that the Hornet Chaser just helps out a little bit when dealing with the long helicopter stretches that Hyper's about to go through in about one screen from now. Not quite the Godflower on MrCab, but very beneficial. Still appeared on the left side so he can go down and not walk so far to the next screen transition. Meanwhile, Hyper going through what I was talking about in the with those helicopter enemies. If you're not careful, you probably be dropped up in the spikes if you not ready for them to drop you off at the right moment. MrCab making good use of the concrete shot, using its effect to pass through the enemies before the concrete block makes it become solid. Put little focus on MrCab as he's about to fight Hornet Man. The main utility of the Magma Bazooka is that not only that it's capable of being charged, but each shot is capable of being stacked. So as you can see, all three charged Magma Bazookas just pretty much deals massive damage on Hornet Man, and MrCab makes short work of them. Meanwhile, using the helicopters, Hyper gets a little bit of a faster movement in the final portion of the stage, gets the task block, and is on its way to Galaxy Door. So Galaxy Man, we want to see 2 swoops. Otherwise, this guy's a pain in the backside if he's not cooperative. And there he goes, up in the air. Using the concrete shot, get on the wall, get a little bit of higher shot to block the concrete shot. I mean, not the concrete shot, but the black hole bomb, so Galaxy Man can be down just a little sooner, so it can just plug him away with concrete shots. And Hyper got himself a victory against Galaxy Man. At this point, we're gonna be just seeing a little bit of a switch. So MrCab going to Galaxy Man, and I expect Hyper to switch off and going to Hornet Man stage. So we're not gonna be seeing too much difference. All we're gonna see is probably, yep, MrCab using the rush coil to get extra height to get to the helicopter guy much sooner and earlier. If you go down the normal way, you won't be able to utilize that helicopter enemy in the way that you see MrCab utilize them. Rush coil, keeping the rush coil to save a menu on Hyper's end. So we're gonna keep it throughout the rest of the Hornet Man area until we get to the Flower Man boss. So yeah, you are gonna see a lot of utility work in MM9. Like I said, this has one of the best weapon sets. Same position as Cab as far as Flower goes. Not the best, but still pretty good. So it's more, like I said, when it comes to routing, it's more or less based on utility. So later on, when we actually do go to Jewel Man, which should be after the stages that they're on now, the Hornet Chaser actually is very useful for Jewel Man stage, especially for the mid boss and making it come down early. You'll see that in a little bit. In answering the question, I think we saw 2 swoops on Cab's end. Good RNG, but the shots were kind of just a little bit sloppy, but he still didn't go up and shoot another black hole bomb, so we still got ourselves a pretty good fight on Cab's end. Meanwhile, Hyper just annihilates Hornet Man using those stack shots with the magma bazooka. So we should be seeing Hornet Man, Jewel Man next run in this round. So with a combination of all the weapons we have so far, you're gonna see a lot of usage of weapons to make this stage a little interesting, especially given the fact that this stage, as I said in another commentary said from a while back, this stage feels a little ROM hacky. As I said, enemy placements are a little sketch, and there are lots of spikes in this stage in areas where it just feels kind of uncomfortable. As you can see, there's also a little bit of strategy usage. As you can see, MrCab used Concrete Shot to make that one previous stretch a little easier, while Hyper sticks with the Buster, saves the menu, and goes straight to the Hornet Chaser, which we were talking about a little earlier. Makes some of the enemies before this cheeseball mid-boss a little simple. And this is why we have the Hornet Chaser to begin with. Both of them not having good cheeseball luck. A little bit far on the left side of the screen. We will want the cheeseball to be as far on the right side as possible, so we can exit the door as quick as possible. Maybe second to last, so you actually be at the door. And this is what I'm talking about some of the ROM hacky style of level design. Look at this screen that MrCab's in. A lot of spikes and a very difficult swing on a casual basis, but both Hyper and Cab make it look effortless. So right now we got Cab technically fighting Jewel Man first, according to the timers based on stream delay, but all that means that Hyper is really, really close. So Jewel Man jumps when you jump, and I believe that somehow resets the iframes for Jewel Man so that you can actually plug him away very quickly. So you got a quick fight on both ends, but it looks like Hyper's was a little faster, so he's closing in on Cab very, very fast. Shows you the skill that Hyper has, and that's still coming from a death in Magma Man stage early on. So once again, MrCab probably gonna still need mistakes from Hyper in order to keep his very, very slimming lead. So we got Plugman coming up next. You can actually go to Splash Woman next as well. This is another part where potential stage switching can occur, as long as Tornado Man is done after Plugman and not before. But anyway, one of the notable things as well, let's talk about Plugman first. Plugman is based on a universal global timer, and that comes into play with these Yoku blocks. We call having the perfect Yoku cycle in this stage the perfect plug, because you're able to maneuver with a combination of normal movement and the rush jet, which I'll explain how we got in a moment, and go this stage effortlessly without any Yoku blocks pretty much just literally blocking your way in this stage. Hyper doing very well using rush jet, getting by the area pretty clean. MrCab following suit, and both of them decided not to take the safety E-take. This is a very rough game to race, never mind performing speed runs. So this could be very crucial later on if one of these guys gets into a health fix. So we got Hyper going to Plugman apparently first. Yeah, talking about the timers being unsynchronized. But yeah, I agree with Hyper. I believe that he is definitely in the lead according to their timers, what I'm looking at, but only probably about a few seconds. So it's still relatively close. Plugman, you got exact ammo to defeat him with the Jewel Satellites, but a very quick fight otherwise. I'm assuming both of these guys with plug ball in hand probably gonna go to Tornado Man next. Well, Rush, no, we got Splash Woman, so Hyper's gonna say Tornado Man for last. Can't blame him. You're gonna see MrCab follow suit. No, he's actually gonna go to Tornado Man. So this is where I was talking about a little bit of a split. As long as you do Plugman before Tornado, you can actually go to Tornado by this point, but you also by now have the weakness for Splash Woman as well, so you can do Splash Woman at any given time. So a little focus on MrCab's as Tornado Man is it's a slightly more dangerous stage. As you can see, you got these magnetic batteries that serve as your moving platforms. You do not want to ride these guys. They flip Mega Man up and down as you pretty much rotate around them, and you got spikes everywhere. Some more skilled Mega Man 9 runners than I can actually utilize them and try to at least save some Rush Jet energy. Not that I know that it's faster or not. I believe it's close to the same time as you still working with the platform cycles. On Hyper's End, you saw the Mega Man 9's version of the bubble skip, utilizing Rush Jet in the bubbles, especially the small bubbles, to go up the vertical screens a little faster. Back on Cab's End, we see the rain physics, well, the wind physics. As long as you're on the ground, the wind will not affect you, but if you jumping up, that's when the wind physics take hold. So you got the winds blowing against you. You want to stay underground as much as possible and use the Rush Jet so you don't have to worry about the magnet platforms. And on his way to Tornado Man, you want to be jumping as much as possible as the wind is against you, and you get a small little bit of extra speed as Hyper Jets once again decimates Splash Woman with the Hornet Chaser, which is her weakness. So, MrCab, do we have a Bronado? Is Tornado Man gonna be a Tornado Bro? We want him on the ground throughout this fight. Right now, he's being bro-like. He's sticking bro-like. He was a bro until the very last second. But otherwise, that was a very good Tornado fight. We do not want to see Tornado Man in the air. If we do want to see him in the air, we want to see him close to the ceiling at the very least, so the plug ball can hit him when it's crossing around the room, since it goes up walls and goes around the ceilings as well. So we got a Hyper going into Tornado Man, and since Splash Woman is the last Robot Master on Cabs End, that's what we're gonna see. And this is what I was talking about. Some of the more interesting Mega Man 9 runners will actually utilize these magnetic platforms and go through it there. As it seems, I'm just spectating all this in some fashions. Apparently still stays with the movement cycle as long as you use the Rush Jet at the very end. But as you can see, it's very dangerous since there's spikes all over the place, and if you stay on too long, you actually rotate until your sprite goes upside down. You can actually fall down that way, and that's very bad if you go upside down, jump, and fall into a pit. So we got MrCab coming up on our Mega Man 5-esque bubble section. As you can see, we got a combination of Rush Jet and utilizing the small bubbles. Of course, we know, for those that are familiar with Mega Man 5, the small bubbles do bust in a few seconds, while the big ones last longer, don't burst. Hyper skillfully navigating through the wind and the rain, getting to not plug door, but Tornado Door. MrCab utilizing Rush Jet along with the moving platforms in order to get by these few screens. And this is what I'm talking about. Tornado Man not quite being a bro, but still being bro enough to be on the ceiling so the plug balls can still hit him on along the ceilings. So if I got my times right, Hyper has definitely retaken the lead from MrCab, while MrCab is still about to fight Splash Woman. Both of these guys about to be on their way to the Wily stages. So, Wally 1 is going to be a little bit of an interesting stage. Excuse me. So, depending on, at least for the first couple of screens, you're going to see if we're going to work with Buster or we're going to see Jewel Satellite, as there are a lot of annoying enemies along the way on this very first stretch. So, you got a combination of fleas, birds, and pit enemies, just all in a long stretch before we get to a point where we're going to be using Rush Jet, which is actually going to bypass the main gimmick of this stage. As you can see, there are these platforms that normally you would need Tornado Blow in order to make the platforms rise in order to progress through the stage. However, we got Rush Jet. And as we normally say in the classic Mega communities, as long as we have items to skip stuff, we say no to platforming. And that's what the Rush Jet does in that section. Meanwhile, you see MrCab doing the alternate strat in the first portion of the stage, where you use Jewel Satellite in order to ignore all the enemies, since the Jewel Satellite is literally one of the best shields in the Mega Man franchise. Quick killing the Chanky Maker used the concrete shots in order to take it out very quickly. So, very tight Rush Jet uses here. Otherwise, you'll probably see players use the concrete shot in order to make a platform to get to that ladder. That is a very tight Rush Jet use, and you can very well easily die if you summon the Rush Jet too low. MrCab on his way to his Chanky Maker mid boss fight. Very well shot. So, Hyper's about to deal with one of the most annoying bosses, not only Mega Man 9, but in Mega Man in general, the spike pushers. The spike balls that you see are all instant kill, and you need to push these spike balls right into each one of these units, spike pusher units. And you just can't really simply mash. It's more of a rhythmic mash, because sometimes your buster shots can actually have its inputs eaten, so the ball will not be able to move. There are quite a few ways to take out these spike pushers, and for the most part you use Buster for the first parts, while Hyper decides to use Tornado Blow in order to take out the last 4 units. Meanwhile, MrCab is sticking with Rush Jet. Of course, we stick with Rush Jet towards this part to save a menu to negate just getting the Buster. I mean, you get the Buster attached with the Rush Jet anyway, so there's no point in swapping to Buster at this point. So, Wily 2, once again, more Rush usage, and since it's like the classic Mega Man series from the NES versions, you gotta manage your weapon energy properly, because weapon energy does not refill between Wily stages. So we're gonna see quite a bit of concrete shot usage, more Rush usage. Okay, so let's see. We're coming up across the good concrete shots, but the most dangerous jump to... Apparently the flower loves this position, but Hyper just misses a shot. So he wants to switch to the laser trident and just gets one of the worst positions. So this underwater section that Hyper's in is extremely treacherous. Sticking to the normal Mega Man stage layout for underwater sections, there are spikes on the ceiling, you got high jump, so spikes on the ceiling plus high jump equals pretty friggin' dangerous. Not to mention these low jumps, which Hyper does very skillfully. A lot of players can still die no matter how good or bad their skill levels are. MrCab taking his jump carefully and gets one of the best flower positions, a God flower on Cab's end. So he catches up a little bit of time on Hyper, who's struggling to get a rush coil on the ladder. So, but these are minor mistakes. Hyper needs a little bit of more of a major mistake for MrCab to come back, as Hyper's skill is just continue to compound his lead here. So, the Mega Mech Shark is a 3-phase large fish battle where actually all fours are weak to the laser trident. Well, except for the second, having a little bit of trouble getting a fast kill on the tail end. So we're gonna stick with laser trident to avoid a menu, but you can actually use tornado blow in order to take out the underparts fast. But of course we saw that Hyper used his tornado blow on the spike pusher, so that wasn't an option. So the mouth also taken out quickly by the laser trident. Decent fight on Hyper's end, but he is low on laser trident. Laser trident can be quite a useful tool for the next stage. So we're going to see how Hyper decides to do his weapon management by this point. So, Wally 3, a stage that I like to call a Resident Sleeper stage, and yet a stage still not to be slapped on, is Resident Sleeper because of this upcoming screen that Hyper's on. It's a decently long and very slow vertical scroller, where this vertical gravity section just slowly pushes you from screen to screen up until you get to a point where you get to a ladder. Very slow, very boring. And there's our usual dancing. But yeah, the main gimmick of that vertical scroller, as Hyper trucks along and MrCab defeats his shark fight, is that you can only move whenever you fire the buster, and the movement depends on which way you're facing. So, Hyper getting back to the midpoint and going to the second portion, which has another slow vertical scroller. But yeah, AJA and Chad mentioned what's about to happen in a couple of screens from now. There is an M-Tank in this stage. You can get it normally, but if you stay far on the left side, there's a kindly helicopter enemy that's gonna help you immediately go straight to the M-Tank with no issue. But you gotta fire away at buster shots in order to move back to the left side so you can grab onto the ladder. So Hyper's gonna decide to use the laser trident in order to get by this surprisingly dangerous stretch. I've seen players also use tornado hold, but tornado hold is dangerous because of these low spikes. Because the tornado blow also has the added utility of augmented jump height. And with these low laying spikes, that could be very treacherous as the final stretch goes. Alright, so with the black hole bomb equipped, Hyper's gonna attempt something we like to call, quote, end quote, easy devil. So Hyper's gonna position a black hole bomb in a specific spot at a specific time in order to get a lot of hits in, and with a lot of pause canceling, which removes the black hole bomb, which allows you to bring it back very quickly. You're supposedly able to one-shot the devil, but unfortunately Hyper had a little bit of a timing issue, and he's gonna deal with another loop. A loop that works about 15-20 seconds. Someone more familiar with Mega Man 9 could probably give me a more accurate account of the time loss here, but he also needs to be careful. He was down to a couple of picks of health, well, 1 damage worth of health. But Hyper takes him out very fast along the second loop. So we see MrCab can save a little bit of time and catch up a little bit if he gets that one cycle easy devil fight. So for the final portions of the game in Wally 4, these lasers are, well, Hyper just showed us, they're able to be blocked by the concrete shot. However, concrete shot is a little important in this stage. Not only as a weakness for Galaxy Man, but yeah, it's going to be useful for the final fight. So you're going to be very judicious on your concrete shot use as we deal with our obligatory boss rush. So you saw Hyper delay just a little bit before getting to Galaxy Teleporter. And he was unable to get what he needed. What Hyper was trying to do was a little manipulation to guarantee a two-swoop pattern on Galaxy Man, but looked like he mistimed his entry just a little bit, and Galaxy Man still went up into the air. Otherwise, a majority of the fights are still going to be standard textbook boss fights that you saw throughout the game. And it looks like Hyper had a little bit of an error. Switch to Plug Balls to finish out Plug Man. You do not want to go too fast in fighting Plug Man with the Jewel Satellite, as, oh boy, the ultimate unlike Bronado. Yeah, Tornado Man's teleporter has more spikes than he did in his boss room during the 8 Robos, so that makes the fight much more dangerous. Like I said, it's these kinds of mistakes that MrCab needs in order to catch up. And this is literally the ultimate unbronado. The ultimate non-tornado bro. As Hyper just struggles to kill him fast, MrCab misses a Jewel Satellite. So he's gonna utilize the Magma Bazooka in order to get extra hits on him due to the stacking effects, and decides to go to Hornet since he has Magma Bazooka equipped. Meanwhile, Magma Bazooka equipped on Hyper's end, he's gonna take out Hornet Man very quickly, but MrCab is still a couple of Robot Masters down. And I'll try to explain the Magma Man. Well, we actually talk about it right now, because you will not have enough Tornado Blow in order to destroy not Tornado Man, but Magma Man. There are means to get a double hit on Magma Man with Tornado Blow, but it's kind of picky to set up. There is a setup. I personally don't know it, but a few of the other pro runners do. But it's still a bit of a time waste to set it up. He's just better off just draining all the Tornado Blow you have and just go straight to Magma Bazooka. Especially on route, since under normal circumstances you would go to Hornet Man next. And of course you got the weakness for Concrete Man, and he's just killing quickly with laser tridents. And you're gonna stick with tridents, as you're actually gonna use them to reflect these egg bombs straight on to the machine's first phase's jaw. You can use Buster, but the piercing effect of the laser trident actually makes it a little more easier and consistent to get the balls, the eggs, into the first phase's mouth. So, using whatever concrete shot you have left, you use it for the second phase. And now we got the casino. One of the worst Wally capsule fights, as you're pretty much based on RNG in order to get a good pattern. This is actually an extremely good pattern on Hyper's end, as he finishes his fight and finishes in first place on our best of 3 matchup with a official SRL time of 34 minutes and 15 seconds. GG's to Hyper for winning race 1. Meanwhile, MrCab is fighting his fight onwards to the second phase on his end. Got more than enough concrete shot to take care of the second phase. We do technically we want to see the second phase as grounded as possible. Him having to go to the air is not a favorable outcome as far as RNG concerned. So let's see what we're gonna get from the Wily capsule on Cab's end. Really good capsule on his end. And I'm seeing blue lights on Cab's end. We might have a PB not only on the race time, but maybe on actually a legit PB on Cab's end if we can find out what MrCab's time is. But as far as SRL is concerned, this is an official SRL time of 35 minutes and 12 seconds, which improves his race PB by 26 seconds. So GG's to Hyper and Cap for a pretty intense race. But we also have 2 more left. Well, potentially 2 more left if Hyper has anything to say about it. So we got MrCab taking a little bit of a break to get himself a drink. Meanwhile, Hyper accidentally exited out of the IRC. Got to get him back. There we go. So right now we had ourselves a pretty good race 1. Hyper making a few mistakes early in Magma Man stage, but allowed himself to correct himself really quick and just use his overall superior ability in MM9 to just overtake Cab to win race 1. But Cab was still pretty solid in his gameplay, no deaths whatsoever. So MrCab can have a repeat performance and Hyper is able to get himself another bit of a more clumsy match. A game 3 is still in sight. It has quite a bit of potential. Actually, I'm gonna make like Cab and get myself a little bit of a break as well. So give me a brief moment, and once we all get together, we'll be ready for race 2. So hang tight, everyone. All right, looks like we got our boys pretty much ripping and ready to go. Both our guys are ready, and I'm about to get ready for race 2 of our best of 3 series. So I'm gonna take a brief moment to release the floodgates for our racers, and race 2 will be on our way. All right, I released our boys. So in a few seconds, race 2 of our best of 3 series in this bracket stage match for the right to face Slurpee Ninja in round 2 of our brackets will be underway. Just give it a little bit of time for stream to catch up here before we get going. There we go. Just about to ask for any time now.